painless. You could have avoided the pain. It's shit!
Hunted by the wealthy elite that seek to sacrifice her to the devil, a young woman takes the fight to the rich in an effort to protect her and her sister from becoming the next tributes. Now, you might think that I'm describing Ready or Not, or even Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, but in fact, I am talking to you about They Will Kill You, which we're talking about tonight in movie reviews. Stay tuned. Scary movie people, welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. It is still movies week, and I know I have already been on here talking about Undertone, and we have already talked about Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, but we're keeping the new movies rolling as we still got a lot more to get through this week. And tonight we are talking about the AMC Scream Unseen. I got a chance to go and see right here a few days ago on March 23rd. Tonight in movie reviews, we are talking They Will Kill You. I am stoked to talk to y'all about this one here, but before we jump on into that, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, smash that follow button no matter where you are tuning in to catch this review. Y'all, we have a lot of great movie reviews coming your way rest of this week. We're going to be looking into Night Patrol, we're going to be looking into 1978, and then we are back to TV week yet again. And you know next week is the first week of the month, so that means we got more Tales from the Crypt coming your way as well too. You do not want to miss any of this here, y'all, and especially the reviews, interviews, and news I have on my content channel right now. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button no matter where you're tuning in. A lot of great horror content for all of you. But let's not waste any more time. I know why you are here tonight. It is time for us to talk They Will Kill You. Now, if you haven't seen the trailer here before, a young woman answers a cryptic ad for a housekeeping job at a luxurious yet foreboding New York City high-rise called The Virgil. Upon arrival, she discovers that residents in the past have vanished without a trace. This has been going on for decades, fueling whispers of a satanic cult lurking in the shadows. It'll be up to this sole woman to find her sister and get her out alive before the two of them become the next tributes in a long line of blood. And there it is, y'all. That is They Will Kill You. Now, we have to address it right off the jump here that there are some very clear-cut similarities here between They Will Kill You and the Ready or Not franchise. The fact that it is based around the wealthy elite taking advantage of those not as fortunate in order to gain themselves power, money, status, whatever the case may be, they are sacrificing those not as lucky as them in order to hold on to that power. A little bit more specifically in regards to Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, the plot of They Will Kill You revolves around a woman trying to track her sister down and keep her safe when she realizes that this Virgil apartment complex, hotel, whatever you want to call it, is full of people willing to kill them both to hold on to what they have. There are so many similarities here between They Will Kill You and the Ready or Not franchise, and honestly, that is one of the best things that this film has going for it. Yes, They Will Kill You is going to try to survive all on its own, but quite honestly, the fact that it's even being released 1 week after Ready or Not 2 into theaters here, it is a smart idea to just try to lean into that synergy, because more often than not, They Will Kill You feels like it belongs in the Ready or Not franchise as well. Again, the story itself isn't exactly anything too deep. We are greeted with this young woman, Asia Reeves, who's trying to take care of herself, and her younger sister escaping the brutal confines of their father. We're given slight information that there's some unscrupulous things happening in his care. And while the two of them attempt to escape and break out for their own freedom, he ends up catching them where Asia shoots their father, albeit not killing him, and she proceeds to go on the run where she's arrested ultimately and spend some time in prison, while her younger sister Maria ends up being stuck living years and years with their father, going through tremendous abuse, which results in her ultimately getting a job at the Virgil Hotel. But unfortunately for everybody, and most specifically the help at the Virgil, we find out that the wealthy elite who live and run the place have to make sacrifices to Satan very regularly if they want to live forever and continue enjoying the perks that the Virgil has to offer to them. As Asia finds out that Maria is working at the Virgil Hotel, it's up to her to mount a rescue and get her out before one of them or the both of them are sacrificed to the elite that want to hold on to everything that they have. And in the meantime, we're going to see Asia go around kicking all kinds of ass, ready to put up a fight to these captors who look to separate her from her sister yet again. And y'all, it is a bloody, brutal, fantastic mess. One of the big things that They Will Kill You has going for it over the Ready or Not franchise is that it absolutely clears it when it comes to the fight scenes. I think Ready or Not will absolutely be the winner when it comes to like the suspense, the chase scenes that are set up into that, and in some places the way that the gore is presented over in that one. But They Will Kill You trades a lot of that suspense over for just straight up action and fantastic fight scenes here with this. There's a lot of folks online who are commenting that this seems very similar to the John Wick franchise in a way, and it's hard not to see that, just because when you see this kind of close quarter fights where one person is fighting multiple people at the same time, there's guns and blades involved, there's a lot of blocking, you're worried second after second somebody's going to catch a knife in the hand, or somebody's going to get stabbed in the chest, or somebody's ultimately going to get caught by a stray bullet. I think a lot of that came from the John Wick franchise really touting up a new style of gun fu and judo and all the different fight types they've involved here in those 4 entries. And when you see that in a horror or horror-esque film, then it highlights the tension even more, because you already know folks are going to get cut up and killed and bloody in all these different kind of ways. But if you're doing that in a horror film, you know it's going to be much worse. And They Will Kill You, it like takes the next step, the evolution of what John Wick is doing to all those people that he's fucking up in those various films. Like, if you thought that what John Wick was already doing was insane, you have seen nothing yet until you see Zazie Beetz going around fucking people up and They Will Kill You. It's basically like, look, hey, we got the budget to do the blood, the gore. We can get away with all of that here at this point. We know what the audience is. Just have at it. And some of like the kill scenes in it, which honestly, you can't even call them kill scenes due to the whole immortality thing about the people living in the Virgil. Some of the ways that these kills at the time are presented are just out of this world. Again, if you are a blood fiend, if you're looking to see folks get cut up and shot up and messed up in different ways, They Will Kill You is going to give you that, and then some on top of that as well too. There is no lack of blood and gore and just mess in this film. Now, what separates it really from Ready or Not, I guess, is the focus of who the intended targets are. You know, in Ready or Not, following around Grace, played by Samara Weaving, honestly, that could have been anybody, right? Whoever, and I forget what the Ladoma, what her husband's name was there, but whoever the Ladomas ended up like getting engaged to, they were ultimately going to be the target. So Grace could have been anybody at all. It didn't really matter ultimately. And by the hide-or-seek card getting pulled, that put her in the crosshairs, because their implication there is that if she pulled any other card, she likely would have been fine. Here in They Will Kill You, they are much more overt about who they're targeting. Minorities, people who don't have the means to actually take care of themselves. So, of course, they're going to take a job here that says it's guaranteed money, guaranteed benefits, only to find out that, well, you could have all that if we have a spot for you. And for you to take that spot, you're going to have to do some terrible things on top of that as well. So it's preying on people in their most vulnerable state in order to get more of what they want. And then they become part of the problem as well. Obviously, this film has some commentary on what it's talking in regards to the rich upper elites versus the working class. That is not quiet at all about what story they're trying to tell here in this film. And to that aspect, I think it does work better versus Ready or Not, just because, again, there's a clear-cut like power balance here that's being shown in this particular film, whereas in Ready or Not, it's not a bad thing, but again, Grace could have been absolutely anyone. And on top of that, as like we've seen here in the second film recently, it also turns out that Grace has a lot more power available to her than she realized in the first place. There were some clauses and all these various deals with the devils that she really could have been jumping deeper into to protect herself and stop from being hunted. Whereas Asia Reeves here and They Will Kill You, there is no getting around that at all. You are the sacrifice because you ended up showing up someplace that you shouldn't have come in the first place just by walking in there. That's it. You are the target. There is no getting out because they need her in order to keep this gambit, keep this game, keep this scheme going on and on and on. And one of the ways they're able to do that is the fact that everybody living in the Virgil with immortality, they're kind of like the zombies in Return of the Living Dead. Now, I don't know about y'all. When I saw Return of the Living Dead for the first time back in like either 1998 or 1999, it was the scariest zombie film I had ever seen. And I love the fact it's heralded as a horror comedy, but come on, they can't be killed unless you reduce them to absolute ashes. And you gotta hope that it's not a rainy day, that everything goes up and just comes right back down onto a local graveyard, but they couldn't be killed. And that scared the hell out of me. They're talking, they're setting up traps, they're planning, they're killing the humans in ways I haven't seen in other zombie films. Here in They Will Kill You, the inhabitants of the Virgil cannot be killed either. They are immortal by the deals that are brokered. Now, on one hand, that means that we get better action and much better kills in this versus something like Ready or Not, because there is no danger. The film does a great job before it shows you that that's really the hook of it, which I'm not spoiling anything, y'all. That kind of gets shown out within the first 15 minutes of the film. But the moment they show you that, then it's like Zazie Beetz doesn't have to hold back at all when it comes to taking out all these crazy rich assholes here in the Virgil, because she knows ultimately there's not really any consequences behind her doing it. She needs to keep them down and out as long as humanly possible in order to save her sister and complete her mission. And when you do all of that and you put it through a Tarantino lens, then you're going to catch some people just watching simply for the blood flow and honestly the foot fetish, which I don't know how if you're emulating Tarantino, that is one of the things that you choose to focus on. Y'all, this is Ready or Not if it was directed by Quentin Tarantino. Again, the blood and the way that the action scenes are done, they're done with a very samurai influence to Zazie Beetz' character and the way that she stands up against all these folks coming up against her. It's Tarantino-esque in the best way. But then they also had the foot fetish thing in there as well, too, which is like, y'all just went right on the nose with that, right? Like, y'all just had to say, yeah, we're doing Tarantino. You'll get it by now if you certainly haven't gotten it just yet. Insane. Absolutely insane. Now, I've talked a lot about Zazie Beetz in this, but her co-stars in this, namely Patricia Arquette and Heather Graham, are tremendous in this as well. I love to see Heather Graham settling into her devil era nicely. Between this and Suitable Flesh, you know, Heather Graham's not new to horror in the least bit, but please keep bringing her back to play the femme fatale in any of these horror films, because she is doing it great. She is hilarious in this movie, just as she was just as good in Suitable Flesh. But on top of that, though, too, she is still killing it, absolutely killing it on screen here, and I need more of that. All right, we've had enough good guy Heather Graham in our lives. Okay, she excels so well at playing the good guy. Let her enjoy her bad guy era, because she is unstoppable. She is so good watching her on screen here. And Patricia Arquette, it feels like we're getting a bit of a comeback with her, right? Not that she really stopped acting, but between things like this, Severance, what's the something at Demora, the prison one that she did with the Riddler, she has been choosing all these really great projects that have showcased just how much of a master she is at her craft. But Lord knows, y'all, we go back to the Crypt days, we go back to the Dream Warriors days. We want to see her do more direct horror, and this is the way to really get her in here, honestly. Again, her and Heather Graham, between the two of them and Zazie Beetz, this is just phenomenal. The women are absolutely killing it here, and They Will Kill You, which, you know, it's right on the nose there with that one for sure. Now, what I will ultimately say, as much fun as I had with this, I think a lot of that fun is amped up because I literally saw Ready or Not 2 like less than 24 hours before seeing this. So I was already in that kind of vibe for that kind of film, so it upped my enjoyment of this. Had I saw it separately, I know I would still like this, but it's hard for me not to mention Ready or Not because, y'all, it is literally Ready or Not. In my review of that, I talked about how they were expanding that franchise, and Elijah Wood's character would be a great way of expanding this here. He's literally all that was missing from this film to connect it to that franchise. I'm not kidding. In terms of the motivation of the people living in the Virgil and the way that they're carrying this all out, the way that Zazie Beetz' character is portrayed, trying to like free her sister and save herself at the same time as well too. All of this in there is just so Ready or Not coded here that this would have been better being a spinoff to that franchise than being something on its own, because unfortunately, I don't think that these two franchises can actually coexist at the same time. And granted, I don't think this is going to have the legs that the Ready or Not franchise has had. I imagine this is likely going to digital platforms within the next month, if that, honestly. This is so much fun, but you're not going to be able to get Ready or Not out of your head, and this relies a lot on your enjoyment of that. If you do not enjoy the Ready or Not films, you are likely not going to enjoy They Will Kill You. That is the honest truth. And even though this is more kill-orientated, again, I described the fights like John Wick. If you're a big fight fan, this is also going to be good for you, but at the same time, the story itself is inferior to what Ready or Not is offering, even if it does add a little bit more, a deeper characterization by saying that the residents of the Virgil are very racially motivated in what they're doing. There's a reason why all the residents of the Virgil are white. Just saying, just putting that out there now. But with all that being said, I had a lot of fun with this. I do recommend checking it out because it's going to hit theaters here in just a couple of days on March 27th. They Will Kill You ultimately gets a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I've been giving a lot of 3.5s out of 5s lately here, and that's honestly a good rating. You know, this is not something that you have to rush out and go and see, but this is definitely one that I can't imagine anybody having a bad time checking out there for themselves. Go and catch it in theaters. Again, it opens everywhere March 27th, and come back and let me know in the comment section here if I'm off my rocker by saying that this is very much a spinoff from the Ready or Not franchise, that Zazie Beetz is fantastic in it, that the characterization is a bit better just because of the motivations of the Virgil versus the motivations of like the various families through the Ready or Not franchise. I want to hear all of that in the comment section. Y'all let me know. And of course, again, make sure to get subscribed to my channel, whether you're hitting the follow button, the subscribe button, or going to my link tree at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. That'll give you access to all my social media platforms to keep on top of everything in the world of horror. And it is still movies week, so later on this week, I'm gonna have reviews for you for Night Patrol and 1978 to close things off before we get back to TV week. You do not want to miss any of that, y'all. So again, please make sure you're subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you that tune into these reviews. I love doing them for y'all. I am recharged and ready to hit it here for 2026. But that is going to do it for me tonight. Again, I appreciate you tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.